What up? This is NBA Live. Pete McCarthy, Matt LaMarca with you for the next 30 minutes or so as we break down what is as simple, as straightforward as slate as you're going to see in the NBA. 10-game slate, a couple of major trades already this afternoon, perhaps more to come with the trade deadline coming on Thursday. Nice and easy to break all this down, right, Matt?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. At least the good news about the traded teams is we kind of know that none of those players are going to be available today. But there's still, roughly 1 million players that are questionable at the moment. So it's definitely a good slate to I think, keep it locked here to the Awesemo channel, hang with the guys for the deeper dive and live before lock and kind of monitor where the rest of this news happens to shake out.
Yeah, I think the biggest, obviously you're going to have some guys that aren't going to play that you expect now, right? Domantas Sabonis, and you work your way down the line. Halliburton, of course, being dealt over to Indiana. But there's like a ton of value on the board now, right? With Portland, with New Orleans, with Sacramento, with Indiana. The Brooklyn Nets aren't going to have any of their big three playing. It's kind of, where do you want to go? How are you going to get different than other people when there are so many different value options out there? How does that kind of throw a monkey wrench into such a large slate like this?
Yeah, I think the fact that there is so much value actually makes it kind of an interesting slate still, because it's not like there's one obvious slam dunk value play at all these positions. There's multiple. So you can kind of pick and choose certain spots that you feel like, oh, maybe this value player is being overlooked, this guy's being overhyped, etc. So maybe you can find some pivots that way, but overall it's just, there's so much value, and the good news is that there's a ton of studs to choose from as well.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of the studs, the duds who could become studs, however you want to look at those guys, value guys. All right, keep it simple. Of course, give us a like, subscribe over the course of the show. Keep up with all of our offers, our giveaways, and much, much more. Once you do subscribe, hit that notification bell. You get yourself alerts when our shows go live. Be sure to also check out today's free premium tools and data at Awesemo, which are NBA ownership rankings, PGA top golfers, and NHL top stacks, as well as our monthly podcast giveaway. Just subscribe to our podcast channel, leave a 5-star review with your Awesemo username or Twitter handle to be entered to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. So let's look at point guard, and we will start with one Luka Doncic, $54. That's one of the studs that we could get to today, certainly in that in his own area as far as the point guards go.
Yes, and I'm definitely not opposed to that. Luka has been amazing recently with Porzingis and with Tim Hardaway Jr. out of the lineup. The usage rate is way up. He is obviously so good at the other stats as well. He's coming off only 48.5 points in his last game, but he was dealing with foul trouble. The game ended up being not that close down the stretch too. So clearly there's going to be more playing time on this slate. I think 37 minutes is a pretty fair projection for him. So, and for the record, he didn't even do that bad over his 27 minutes and change, right? 48.5 fantasy points over 27 minutes. That's excellent production. So if we're going to crank the playing time up today, I think another performance in the 60s, with a ceiling for in the 70s is certainly reasonable against the Pistons, who are a mediocre defensive team.
Yeah, and I think what makes maybe getting Luka in a little more difficult today is that the point guard position is one of those positions that's going to have a lot of value tonight, right? As you work your way down, Anthony Simon's getting a big opportunity with Portland now. He's still $25, but projected for close to 40 points tonight. And he's been a big impact player in games where CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard are out this year. I think there have been 5 or 6 of those games. He's averaging like 28 points. So he has the ability certainly to go off with obviously McCollum out of town and Lillard out again. Davion Mitchell gets the opportunity at point guard now at Sacramento with Halliburton being out tonight. You can mix in Dennis Smith Jr. as well. And there's a lot of value at this position tonight.
Yeah, and I would say that the guy that I'm the most skeptical of at the moment is Davion at 15. Now, if De'Aaron Fox is out, then Davion Mitchell becomes a smash against the Timberwolves. But Fox is questionable. If Fox comes back,
he's been questionable for a month.
Yeah, I know. It's questionable every game for the past 8 games, I believe, and he's missed them all. But he should come back eventually, right? And maybe now that Tyrese Halliburton is out, maybe part of the reason why they were holding him out was they were exploring trades. So my gut feeling tells me that De'Aaron Fox plays tonight. Whether that's correct or not, who knows? But if that's the case, I don't want to play Davion Mitchell at inflated ownership.
So watch out for De'Aaron Fox tonight. It is the first game of back-to-back, and who knows what's been going on with the trade stuff. We would think since the Kings alleviated that full backcourt, maybe Fox would be the guy to be sticking around there. But I suppose there's still a couple of days until we get this trade deadline all wrapped up. Middle area, I mean, I guess you're going above Anthony Simons here. What else are we looking at? The point guard position? Is there other places to go, or is that pretty well cover it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to go with Portland, Anthony Simons obviously is a great play. We have him, as you mentioned, projected for more than 40 fantasy points. He's averaged more than 40 fantasy points in 6 games, I believe. Yeah, 6 games without McCollum and Lillard. But I also think you could go down to Dennis Smith Jr. if you want to go even cheaper. He's priced at the minimum $10, and he's popping as the clear top value at the position using our projections tonight. So he's not expected to catch as much ownership as some of these other point guards. I think he's a really strong play.
It gets you a little bit different as far as that goes. If you want to go to the absolute minimum there, and then you get in some of the other studs that we'll be talking about tonight. Shooting guard, there's not really that stud at this position on the board, but Brandon Ingram will have an opportunity with the Pelicans making the deal today. Perhaps more usage coming his way. The projection all the way up close to about 45 points on him, $37. Devin Booker is atop the position at $38. Nothing, when I looked at the boom bust tool, it's nothing really jumped out off the board at me at the shooting guard position. Where are you looking to go tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Ingram definitely deserves some attention here at the top. The matchup versus Houston is obviously one of the best that you can possibly get. First in pace, dead last in defensive efficiency. So even without factoring in all of the trade hoopla, Ingram was going to be somebody who deserved consideration today. He's also he's been playing really well recently. He's had 12 assists in back-to-back games. I'm not sure if that's going to continue, but he does see a nice spike to his rebound rate with Josh Hart off the floor. That's not all that surprising. Josh Hart's a great rebounder. So you take him off the court, Brandon Ingram has to do a little bit more in that department. So even if the assists come down in this game, I think there's more than enough room for him to pay off his price tag here. I think he's pretty clearly the top choice if you're paying up.
I like that Josh Hart isn't playing tonight. You still found a way to work in some big compliments his way.
My boy, as I was saying to Jordan pre-show, despite the fact that the guy has never played on a winning team, that guy is a winning basketball player.
Feels like a winner. Just look at his Villanova record. Winner all the way through. So now we'll see what he gets done now going over to Portland. Shooting guard position, kind of looking around a little bit with the Indiana trade. I saw Duarte was mentioned in the chat. I don't know if he factors in for you.
I think the Pacers guys are really intriguing. You've got Duarte, who's at $19. You have Dwayne Washington Jr., who's at $11. Both guys right now projected for 6% ownership or less. I think this is going to be their audition Like, yes, Halliburton will eventually arrive and he'll factor into the rotation, but these two guys, they're their two rookie picks from this most recent draft. I think they are going to get a ton of run tonight. Duarte, we've seen how good he can be when given the opportunity. He's averaging close to a fantasy point per minute with Levert and Brogdon and Miles Turner off the court. And now, of course, we can add Sabonis into that mix too. But the big news there is Brogdon. We have to make sure that Brogdon is out. He's officially questionable. But if he gets ruled out, I think firing up these Pacers guys makes a lot of sense, especially if they continue to sort of hover down here on the ownership rankings.
Kiefer Sykes, if memory serves it correct, didn't he have like a 30-point game when everybody was out for Indiana earlier this year? I think that was like COVID protocol time in mid-December.
Yeah, and he would also be worth considering too. He's a point guard. He's also priced at the minimum at $10. There again, there's a ton of guys that you can consider on this slate. So I think playing any of these Pacers guys, if they're going to check in with low ownership, is certainly viable.
No, I was trying to get to Kiefer Sykes game. I wasn't able to pull it up in time to remember that game. But yeah, I just have memory of him being someone who went off. I mean, that was like at the peak of things when, teams were playing with 8-man rosters and trying to figure it all out. What do you have? He had a 22-point game, 6 assists on January 4th when he was, in the G League in December. So he was able to come out and do that. So it wasn't quite 30 points, but he expected to be in the starting lineup for Indiana tonight. We've partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NBA season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Now, to qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo. Sign up for an account via the link below, deposit, and play. That's all. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we'll reach out via email with your coupon. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's $50,000 NBA baller and the $1 million for the Super Bowl, baller for the Super Bowl. We also have a free roll running for the big game on Yahoo, with first place getting $1,000 and a year of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to that contest in the video description below, and make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Has this ever happened to you? If you look, I did a Yahoo on-demand video, and I was like totally unshaven. So I shaved like just before the show, and now I'm feeling like I miss spots. Like it's a mess over here.
No, Pete, that is not a problem that I have. The key is you shave once every like 4 or 5 months or so, and then then if you miss a spot, you notice.
Then you notice. I know your audience in one of these situations here. All right, let's go to small forward. You want to pay up for somebody? Pay up for LeBron. I mean, it looked healthy last time out. $55, the price tag there. Otherwise, looking at Jason Tatum, Chris Middleton at the high end here, Anthony Edwards. Those 4 are the ones that are over $30. Let's start with the big cheese. What do you make of LeBron tonight?
Can't play LeBron at 55, in my opinion. There are just too many other studs who have a higher ceiling. LeBron, when the team was without Anthony Davis, was showing that he could pay off a $55 salary on a, somewhat consistent basis. But I think with Davis back, I'm skeptical that his numbers are going to stay as high as they were. So, on a slate that has Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic and Giannis and Joel Embiid, the fact that LeBron is the 3rd priciest out of that tier just kind of takes him off the board for me.
That's a good point. RJ Barrett, he's been hot of late, $28. Does he get in the mix for you?
He has been hot, and he is playing a ton of minutes at the moment, but I don't think he's somebody that I'm really looking at against Denver. That matchup's just going to be a very slow-paced game. The Knicks are the slowest team in the league. Denver is also a slow team. So I'm looking, if I'm going to pay in this range, I would probably gear towards Anthony Edwards, especially given the Timberwolves' current injury report. This is a very important team to monitor, in my opinion. They've got D'Angelo Russell questionable, Patrick Beverly questionable, Josh Okogie questionable, Naz Reid questionable, Taurean Prince questionable. So this team could be sufficiently shorthanded. We know that the Kings are a great matchup. They're 29th in defensive efficiency, or 28th, I think they've gotten up to now. No disrespect, Kings. But yeah, if the team is shorthanded, I think Edwards becomes a nice play here at $32.
How about the other end of these trades? So Sacramento makes this deal today. We know they're playing a little shorthanded. How does that affect maybe what you do with Minnesota, and how does that go for the opposite end of some of these other teams? Do you want to run one back? Are you worried about a blowout? How do you factor that in, if at all, with the defensive ratings don't necessarily mean as much. Halliburton's a big part of that now. He's obviously not going to be playing tonight for Sacramento.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider, but the spread on this game is still just around 7 points. If we start freaking out every time we see a 7-point spread, we're like never going to be able to play any of these teams. We've got a lot of big spreads. So I think the bigger blowout concern is you look at the Hawks, right? The Hawks are at home against the Pacers, who now have either ruled out or traded everybody on that team essentially with a pulse. But they're so thin that I would expect their young guys like a Dwayne Washington or a Kiefer Sykes, like those guys are going to have to play regardless because they don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
So the only guy that I think maybe has some blowout concern with the Pacers would be Duarte. He is a rookie, but he's an old rookie. So maybe you don't put the tread on his tires, but everybody else, like, they're just going to be out there. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it makes it, once you're that thin, you don't have a whole lot of guys on the bench to be going to here, unless you're promoting the whole G League team and letting them get a run. Elsewhere, small forward, I mean, value, there are guys that jump out at you after the trades today. I have a few at power forward and center, but nothing that I saw, that jumped at me at small forward, but I know you're able to take a little deeper dive into these things.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to focus on the trade narrative, you go with CJ Ellaby. For Portland, he kind of saw a nice spike in playing time in their last game. Certainly wouldn't expect his minutes to go down today. And, again, a good matchup versus the Magic. But the guy that I'm looking at is Patty Mills. I feel like he's being a little overlooked at $17. The Nets have no one right now. They have no James Harden, no Kyrie Irving, no Kevin Durant. They don't even have LaMarcus Aldridge. So Patty Mills is going to have to try and do his best to put his Team Australia cape on and carry this offense. The usage rate with all those guys off the court this season is up over 30%. He's averaging right around a fantasy point per minute. I think Patty Mills is a fantastic tournament option, especially since he's not checking in with like overwhelming ownership. I would have him as the best small forward play on the slate at, a 16.5% projected ownership.
Patty Mills, go-to guy.
That's right. Team Australia stands know what Patty Mills is capable of.
That's right. You're down under. You're all over Patty Mills, what he could do, so he could get done with nobody around him tonight for the Brooklyn Nets, getting that big opportunity. Power forward, we get to one of the big guys on the board, $55 for Giannis Antetokounmpo. His ownership isn't exactly through the roof. He's going up against the Lakers. Well, I thought it was interesting. He's been hot from three for a couple of games. I mean, you don't play Giannis thinking you're getting like three triples out of him or anything, but he's hit 6 of 10 over the last 2 games from distance. Maybe that opens up opportunities for him a little bit. If you can find him, I mean, what do you make of Giannis?
Consistently. If that man starts doing that consistently, the league better watch out. Giannis's fantasy production has been a bit down recently, but the minutes have been down, right? 30.8 minutes or less in 3 of his last 4 games. He's still managed to average over 50 fantasy points in those games, but it's because the permanent efficiency is just so good. The last time he was asked to play big minutes, he had 71 and a half against the Wizards just a couple of nights ago. So I love Giannis, especially when he's not going to be super popular. And the reason why is because there are some very good value plays at power forward, but I don't mind using 2 power forwards, put one in the forward spot, use Giannis. I think he has as much upside as anybody.
You like national TV games? You factor that in at all? If a guy hasn't been playing a lot of minutes recently and now he's getting the Lakers in prime time, or
it's
maybe more after prime time?
Yeah, it's more just that the Lakers aren't any good, right? Yeah. And they've played fast and they're not very good defensively. So, as long as this game is close, I expect Giannis to put on a show for the very few national TV fans who don't know who Giannis is. Right, this is his chance to make a name for himself.
This is his chance, yes, to show what he can actually do when everybody is watching. Yeah, nobody wants to get ripped by Chuck for only playing 25 minutes or something. You gotta go out there, throw your body around a little bit. Sometimes
right.
It matters. These guys matters a little bit more than a Tuesday night in New Orleans or whatever some of these other games might be. As far as value guys go, a couple jumped out. I saw Isaiah Jackson. He's $22. He's not getting a whole lot of ownership, but he'll have an opportunity with the Pacers today. Justice Winslow is $10. And then James Johnson of the Nets. Another one of those. Well, who's going to score for the Nets? Why not James Johnson tonight? And he's projected for 25 points.
Yeah, James Johnson being asked to score the ball could be a disaster. James Johnson can do a lot of things. Scoring is not one of them. But I agree. Strong play. Justice Winslow to me is the guy at $10. He has a very fantasy friendly game. He's averaged 1.05 fantasy points per minute over the past month. Should see 30 plus minutes tonight. Very hard to get away from that. I think if you want to pivot, I like Day'Ron Sharpe at $10. The minutes are a little bit more questionable with him than they are with a guy like James Johnson, but the per minute efficiency is just so much higher. I would rather roll the dice on him and his 1.17 fantasy points per minute this season at a fraction of the ownership than eat chalk James Johnson.
Yeah, and Justice Winslow is going to be some heavy ownership tonight as well. That's good chalk. That's tasty chalk. It's got some frosting on it. It's ready.
Good for heartburn.
Good for heartburn. There you go. Remember, with Daytona right around the corner, we are offering our Awesemo Plus NASCAR package for less than $2 per race this season. That's $70 for a full year of Awesemo Plus NASCAR. This pass gives you access to our driver projections, ownership projections, and top drivers tool to give you the edge you need in NASCAR DFS. Use promo code GREENFLAG at checkout, or simply click the link in the description of this video to activate. This offer is valid through February 20th. All right, no heartburn at center. You got plenty of options. Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, each over $50 and each projected for over 50 points. What else we look at? I mean, just Nurkic should have a big opportunity for Portland, kind of in the middle range. You have a bunch of minimum price guys you can go to. It's busy here at this center position as per usual.
Yes. Good plays at basically every price range. I like the idea of getting to Nikola Jokic at the top. I know I said that this game was going to be slow paced and ugly, and it will be, but Nikola Jokic is so good that doesn't really matter. So he's only projected for like 7% ownership right now. Anytime that happens, that's a mistake. Nikola Jokic should never be owned less than like 20%. So I'll be overweight on him. I'll probably be overweight on Embiid too. I have no problem playing both of those guys together. You use one in the center spot, one in the utility spot. If you're going down, I think Nurkic and Valanciunas both make sense in that mid-range as guys who will be asked to do a little bit more for their team following the trades that they made. And then the cheap tier, I have to shout out Şengün at $11, playing a little bit more here for the Rockets. And he's been a good fantasy per minute producer all season. And then Blake Griffin, the last man standing for the Nets Big Five. The last man standing. He did play like 30 minutes in their last game, and he has quietly been pretty good over the last week or so. Blake Griffin. So I think that's kind of how I'm attacking the position.
I mean, you're trying to get to like 10 rebounds or something. Is that what you're hoping for if you're throwing Blake Griffin out there?
Oh, no. Lob City is back, baby.
Just lobs? Patty Mills?
Layup
Blake
City
Griffin
is
connection?
back. I was watching him the other night, and he got out in transition on a fast break and did a layup. And I was like, this is so sad. Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah. Well, maybe one beat him, that the Brady guy or whatever, but I don't want to.
That's true.
He's got enough kudos over the last 20 years. We don't need to add to that here. So this center position, I mean, it is loaded. Jackson Hayes also maybe another one to throw out. Yep. He was very high on the boom bust tool at $17 and 30-plus point projection tonight in New Orleans with them coming off that trade. I mean, there's a lot to watch. So over the course of the next, let's see, we got 3.5 hours. What are the biggest news items you'll be watching for that's going to cause you to make some pivots here beyond the potential for another big trade or two over the next few hours?
Yeah, the De'Aaron Fox news is huge. If he's out, then the team is without really any playmaker. You go to Davion Mitchell, you look at Harrison Barnes, maybe. It gets a little bit ugly if Fox sits out this game. The Timberwolves one is a big deal to me. Malcolm Brogdon is a huge deal to me. Again, the Pacers he's their last guy. If he's out, then it just becomes a free for all in terms of Pacers value. I think those are the three biggest pieces of news still worth monitoring.
And just in the chat, Donald asked about Dwight Powell of the Mavs.
Can't do it tonight. Dwight Powell is a fine player. On a normal slate, you would take a nearly min price Dwight Powell, but there's just too many guys tonight that are stepping into huge roles that you're putting yourself way behind the 8 ball if you go that direction.
All right. So there you go. And of course, keep an eye on Odds Shopper, as I'm sure you always do. Check out some of the player prop world spreads that are out there, what you're looking at, where you can find the best lines. It also has Awesemo's projections there. You can see where there is some value. It can help out a little bit with your DFS as you're getting an idea of what some of the books are thinking on a given night. And of course, give us a like, subscribe, keep up with all of our shows, our DFS offers, our giveaways, and much, much more. And once you do subscribe, hit that notification button to get alerts when our shows go live. And again, be sure to check out our monthly podcast giveaway. Just subscribe to our podcast channel, leave a 5-star review with your Awesemo username or Twitter handle, and you will be entered to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's a lot. We could have done more than 25 minutes here, I think, with everything happening. We got more guys in, out of the lineup, news every 4 seconds here on a 10-game slate. Keeping it busy. All right, we got NBA Deeper Dive coming up at 4:45 Eastern, NBA Live Before Lock at 6. And coming up next, the No House Advantage NBA Strategy Show with Eitan and Terry. Matt LaMarca, terrific as always. I'm Pete McCarthy. Thanks for watching Yahoo NBA Live.